city that I can't put it all in a song, but I'll tell you one thing, we get along. When anything around here going wrong, we had riots in the past, grew from that. All lives matter, that's a fact. But come to my town talking any kind of smack, we're gonna beat you down and send you right back. We winners, man, not beginners, man. We gon' eat every one of you for dinner, man. Get your tickets outside, it's going down tonight. This is our dance, just don't quit it, man. This next to do, we ain't come to lose, we here to win. Pay your dues, otherwise I got bad news. What you came to do? Get them boys the blues. 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 What you came to do? This next to do, we ain't come to lose, we here to win. Pay your dues, otherwise I got bad news. What you came to do? Get them boys the blues. My city known for rock and roll, good barbecue and soul food. We got rules though, when you come through, don't fool with us. We done told you, we struggle daily, crime rate is crazy. Get wrong's one thing you don't do. My guys are grizzlies and tigers, baby. We animals and we don't lose. We give you the blues when you come to us. Be ready for war, we lacing up. You better bring a whole army with you, cause in Memphis here we don't play a bluff. This Memphis do, we ain't come to lose, we here to win. Pay your dues, otherwise I got bad news. What you came to do? Get them boys the blues. 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 What you came to do? Get them boys the blues. There's so much history in my city that I can't put it all in a song, but I'll tell you one thing, we get along. When anything around here going wrong, we had riots in the past, grew from that. All lives matter, that's a fact. But come to my town talking any kind of smack, we're gonna beat you down and send you right back. We winners, man, not beginners, man. We gon' eat every one of you for dinner, man. Get your tickets outside, it's going down tonight. This is our dance, just don't quit it, man. This next to do, we ain't come to lose, we here to win. Pay your dues, otherwise I got bad. My guys are grizzlies and tigers, baby. We animals and we don't lose. We give you the blues when you come to us. Be ready for war, we lacing up. You better bring a whole army with you, cause in Memphis here we don't play a bluff. This Memphis do, we ain't come to lose, we here to win. Pay your dues, otherwise I got bad news. What you came to do? Get them boys the blues. 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 What you came to do? Get them boys the blues. This Memphis do, we ain't come to lose, we here to win. Pay your dues, otherwise I got bad news. What you came to do? Get them boys the blues. My city known for rock and roll, good barbecue and soul food. We got rules though when you.
Hello, Memphis Tiger fans, and welcome to Tuesday, December 6th edition of the Point Podcast. I'm your host, Wes Pruitt, and as always, I got my guy, Zach Kerr, in the back, pushing buttons, making sure everything is on screen when it's supposed to be. As always,
What's going
how you
on,
doing,
boss man?
I am doing well, brother. How about yourself?
I can't complain too much. You know, you let me loose with these buttons and whistles and videos back here, and I'm like a little kid on Christmas back here, man. I'm having too much fun.
Hey, man, I'm going to go ahead and let you know right now. I'm glad you're back because I am lost trying to run the show, talk, find my notes, make sure I'm hitting my points at the right time, go to break. I mean, I think one show while you were gone, I didn't go to break. I just went out.
You know, while I was out, I caught some of the shows that you did while I was out, Wes, and the sheer look of complete panic on your face.
Yeah.
I couldn't help it, man. I started dying laughing, but it's great.
Hey, dude, I was laughing doing it, trust me.
Great to be back inside the studio, man, and big props to MC for holding it down on the other side of our business over here on ITHP side. So, but good to be back here with the Point Man and hanging out with you on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be back, man. We got a lot going on in Tiger sports right now. It's going to be Tiger Talk all night long. Obviously, Zach, we do it every week. You want to do a little Tiger trivia?
Yeah, but I got something a little fun for you. Hang on a second.
I like that. I really, really do. It's time for Tiger Trivia. I know everybody that watches this show looks forward every week to the 3 questions that the Point Podcast brings to you about Memphis Tiger athletics. And this week we've got 3 more great questions. And we started off with question number 1 tonight. When did Memphis and Utah State last meet in football? Obviously, Memphis is going to another bowl game, 9th straight. We'll get into that a little bit later on.
Now, are we just talking postseason, or are we talking like overall?
No, overall.
I'm gonna go a shot in the dark and go 1997.
Okay. All right. We'll find out if you were close, correct, in the ballpark at the end of the show.
Probably not. You know what?
Question number 2. What is the Memphis men's basketball record in non-conference home games under Penny Hardaway?
That's not question number 2.
What?
That's not question number 2.
My bad. Sorry. Quit. My bad.
See, this is what happened.
On my notes. I'm glad you're here. All right. So, question number 2 on the screen, 3 in my board. Before Saturday, when was the last time Memphis women's hoops played South Carolina? Lady Tigers and Lady Gamecocks, because I don't think it's right to call them the Lady Cocks. The Lady Gamecocks.
Wait. Did you?
Just saying.
Don't act like we're not going to bypass this and act like you didn't say it.
Yeah, I said it, but I did it in a professional way. I said I would think they would rather be called the Lady Gamecocks versus calling them the Lady Cats.
Don't do it again. I'm going to go 2007.
Okay. All right. Now it's time for question 3. Everybody already knows it because I just asked it, but it's all good. Question number 3.
Okay.
No screen. There it is. No.
Just as a disclaimer, I'm not the one that loaded the banners in this week.
Hold on.
That was not me.
Dang it. All right. Well, hold on. I'm about to fix this. I'm fixing this right now. So it's going to be a jam-packed show. Yes, I am doing a little bit of buffer time right now, but it's all good.
We have a phrase here at 4-Star Sports Media, and it's the things that happen on live. Oh my goodness, that's great.
Oh yeah, that's it, no doubt. Definitely things that happen on live. All right, so now let's go question 3. How y'all like that one?
Good save there, Wes.
What is the Memphis basketball record in non-conference home games under Penny Hardaway?
How long has Penny Hardaway been a head coach for Memphis? 3 years?
5th year.
Oh, damn, it's only 5th year?
Yep.
So that must mean I don't know.
Penny's been there 5 years. This is his 5th season.
Yeah,
Tiger Trivia, once again, we do it every week here on the Point Podcast. Obviously, you are also inside Germantown Village Wine and Liquor Studios. For more, go by and see them, 7730 Poplar Avenue. They've also got a new location. They've got to get that address as well, too. But you're inside their studio right now. Go by and see them. Stephen Plunk and company will get you taken care of. They've got some single barrel whiskeys that are so good. And go by and tell them Point sent you, and 4-Star Sports Media. Let's take a quick break right quick, man. When we come back from break, we're going to talk Tiger Hoops. We'll start off with men's, and then we'll get down to the women's. Be right back here on the Point Podcast from the 4-Star Sports Radio Network.
Hey fans, did you know that 4-Star Sports Media now has a YouTube channel? You can catch exclusive content covering all things Memphis Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Shows like The Point, and the only show on social media about the Arkansas Razorbacks that is purely fan-driven inside the Hog Pen. Plus other shows like The Hog Trough, the 4-Star Sports Show, and many more coming soon. So check them out today. Go on YouTube.com and search 4-Star Sports Media.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Point Podcast here on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. It's all Tiger Talk tonight, folks, and we're down to the hoop portion of the show. It's time to talk men's Tiger basketball. The 6-2 Tiger basketball team's coming off a 68-57 win over Ole Miss. You know, it just means more in the SEC. Also a 87-68 win over North Alabama last Wednesday. Tigers now they're actually taking on right now the University of Arkansas Little Rock. And Penny Hardaway and this basketball team is really impressing me this year. They're fun to watch. They're long. They're athletic. The really cool thing about this Arkansas Little Rock team is that Penny Hardaway and Little Rock's coach Darrell Walker are actually former NBA players. They're now in their fifth seasons as college head coaches. Find that very cool. But yeah, you look at the Memphis Tigers right now. They're currently up 9-8 with 13:53 left to go in the first half of that game. We're roughly 13 minutes into that game. Tigers are up 9-8. But when you look at the Memphis Tigers right now, they're ranked 15th nationally in just defensive efficiency, 90.3 points allowed per 100 possessions. Right now, they are ranked 20th in the country in blocks at 5.1 per game. They have 9 straight wins at the FedEx Forum, dating back to a 70-62 loss to SMU on January 20th, 2022. They have won 10 out of their last 11 and 27 of their last 30 games played inside the FedEx Forum. Zach, when you hear that record for a team like Memphis, and when you think of the quote blue bloods of college basketball, I know you don't think of Memphis, but their basketball program's a little more known than the football program. What do you think about what the job Penny Hardaway has done so far at Memphis?
Let me ask you something, Wes. And it's a little bit of a controversial topic. All right. I wouldn't say controversial. It's a debatable topic. Why is it that when people think blue bloods, they automatically think of a Power 5 school. Like a Kansas, a North Carolina, a Duke. Okay? If you look at the history, Memphis can be considered from a group of 5 level a blue blood of basketball. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, they've always been there, not as of late, but from a group of 5 level, they're a little bit more well known than most group of 5 schools.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, of course, most people are going to think back to that 2018. That went to the national championship. Derrick Rose, CDR, Joey Dorsey, and others. But when you really get down to the nuts and bolts of it, I mean, Larry Finch, a legendary coach of Memphis in the '90s when Penny was there. Penny was really good in the '90s. But you can go back all the way to the '60s, the '70s, and '80s for this basketball program and find NBA talent.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that's just happened when John Calipari got there. I know that may be a news flash to a lot of people.
That's one of the reasons, though, Wes, is why when people say the term blue blood, it just kind of, you have to look at the overall picture. You can't just look at the Power 5 conferences. Because there's a lot more. I mean, look at because you're always going to have that Cinderella team that is not a Power 5 school.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it last year, I mean, go back and look. I mean, you had Houston was in the Final Four last year. You had Memphis was in the Elite Eight last year and they ended up losing to Gonzaga. I mean, they won the NIT the year before, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's the NIT. That tournament doesn't even mean anything. Guess what? Newsflash. The NIT tournament used to mean more than the NCAA tournament. If you go back and do your history, but most people don't do that. Most people just look at what is most recent and go from there. When you look at this Memphis basketball program, Zach, Penny is building it a different way this year. He brought in 9 recruits, or I'm sorry, 7. 7 transfers, one of which being Kendrick Davis, kid from SMU, going to be a top NBA draft pick when he comes out this year, most likely. They're long, they're athletic. They've got senior-led team with DeAndre Williams, Alex Lomax, and others. Penny Hardaway's son's balling out this year. I love watching Jaden play basketball. And then he just signed his other son. Then you got the Lawson twins that are just freaking sick to watch play. I mean, this team's just uber talented. But Little Rock comes to town tonight, 2-6 on the season, riding a 3-game losing skid. Their only wins this year come over Arkansas Baptist, 71-60, and Jackson State, hot school right now, 94-91. So not real impressive wins, I will say. Three Trojans, that's their mascot, by the way. 3 Trojans are averaging double figures in the season. DJ Smith, go DJ, that's my DJ, is leading the way with 13.5 points per game. So that is men's basketball. The Lady Tigers, led by Katrina Merriweather, shout out Coach Merriweather. Her and her staff, Zach, have done an incredible job building a winning culture here at Memphis. You read my most recent Memphis women's article after the loss to South Carolina last Saturday. You can tell by reading that article, this team is really fighting hard. We're going to talk about it here in just a second, obviously. But Zach, when you look on the women's side of things for Memphis, of course, it's kind of similar to Arkansas in a sense that the program is getting better. They've got a good coach in there that's pushing to have a really good standard for the program, building a winning culture, which we understand is very important, especially in basketball. Mm-hmm. But getting people to believe in, especially in the women's game, can be a little challenging. What do you think about what the job that Katrina Merriweather has done coming over from a much smaller school?
I think she's done a fantastic job. I mean, when you compare where Memphis was versus where they are and where they're going. It's one of those things where you have to get the right people in the right positions at the right time. And that doesn't just translate on the court with your players. I'm talking coaching staffs. I'm talking athletic directors. I'm talking about the athletic program as a whole. It always starts at the very top. If you've got the right type of people, if you got the right person in the right position at the right time, there is no ceiling on this for these teams.
Oh, you're exactly right. I completely agree. And I think a lot of people give Laird Beach a lot of crap. He's the athletic director at Memphis. But I think, this is my opinion, I understand that my opinion doesn't mean crap to a lot of people, but whatever. If you look at the job that he's done bringing the coaches in, even when you look at baseball, soccer coach has been there for ages. But you bring in Katrina Merriweather, you let her build her own staff, which she's got one of the best staffs in the nation. Ryan Silverfield, albeit a lot of people don't like it, he's got a good staff. I think there's changes coming. A matter of fact, I'm pretty positive there's going to be changes coming. But the Meta Bowl game, and we're going to talk about that here shortly. But then you bring in the baseball coach, big name hire there too. This program, as Memphis as a whole, as a program, as a university, is being built the right way. And it's really, really nice to see. It's really refreshing to watch. But what's refreshing, Zach, is that this Memphis women's basketball team, traveled out to South Carolina, number 1 in the country, South Carolina, and fought like hell for 4 quarters of basketball. It was so fun to watch last Saturday. They ended up losing 79-54, but when you look at the team, they shot 32% from the field. They forced 12 turnovers for South Carolina. They were 6 for 8 from the free throw line. Jamara shoots. Destiny Jackson led the team with 10 points each. And then Amani Jefferson came down with a team high 7 rebounds, and she went 6 from 8 from the free throw line. So this basketball team really got out there. They really fought. They played hard. And now they get a chance to come back home and be home for the first time in nearly 3 weeks. El Marone Fieldhouse should be really excited crowd. I think that's another thing. She's getting the crowd to slowly creep up. Every home game for Memphis, they've got something going on, whether it's free admission or whether it's they did a decades night where it's like 80s night, 90s night, stuff like that. Just different ways to engage the crowd. What's that?
I would have had a blast at those nights.
Oh yeah, but they do free admission all the time. Why would you not go?
Well, and here's the thing, and again, for those of you that don't know, on the other side of all this, I'm Razorback Zach. So I cover the Arkansas Razorbacks, for those that don't know. Here's the thing. These teams feed off of the energy from the crowd.
Yes.
Most people don't know that. And if the crowd's dead, the team is dead. Yeah. And vice versa. If the team's dead, the crowd's dead. They feed off each other. So the energy level depends on these fans. Do I like the fact that Memphis is going with free admission? Yes and no, because you're getting butts in the seats. But what kind of money are you losing?
But you're not. You're getting money off concessions, things of that nature.
Now you do what you got to do.
But honestly, I think a ticket to get in was like $5. It really wasn't much.
But overall, here's the thing, Memphis fans. Y'all aren't going to win the national title.
Right.
Okay? You're not.
Get out and support them.
At least not this year. But why does that stop you?
Well, and here's the other thing. She's going and getting local talent. She is getting local kids that are really, really, really good and keeping them home. So why would the local community not get out and continue to watch the kids that you've been watching for, 4 years of high school?
Well, but at the same time, Memphis fans, just like Arkansas fans, and just like 99.9% of fans across the country, they want to win, and they want to win right now. They don't understand the inner workings of how these teams work that you have to build the team. You have to build a staff. You have to build that camaraderie. It's a slow burn. It can't just be, hey, we won the national title. We're going to win it again next year. It doesn't work that way. And with you guys, and I say this,
exactly.
I say this with all due respect. I don't mean this as a bad thing, but as a mid-major conference, okay, the American right now with teams like UCF, with teams like Cincinnati.
You got
Cincinnati.
Tulane, yeah, Cincinnati. I mean, you got Tulane, Cincinnati, and South or Central Florida.
Was the last? I'm going to flip the script on you, Wes. I'm going to flip the script on you. When was the last time you could go into basketball season knowing that Memphis was going to that you had a clear? And we'll go conference wide. When was the last time that you could go in at the beginning of basketball season and go, this team's going to win the conference? Especially in just the American Conference. You can't. It's wide open. That's the great thing about this.
This conference has been wide open for the last 10 years, probably. I mean, there's been a few years that you've had some quote-unquote favorites, and then maybe that favorite really hadn't won. But, I mean, they probably should have. You know what I mean? They just got upset. Right. But when you look at this year, I mean, obviously, look at Houston. They're the number one team in the country. But other than Houston, there's no other team in the American being talked about on a national level. None. Now, then you've got Memphis, which Penny Hardaway puts them on a national level. We already know that. That was the allure of the job. And you're coming back home to coach where you played. I mean, it's, he's a hometown hero. Speaking of Memphis basketball, right, the men are up 24-10 right now. Tigers are on a 15-2 run, 8.5 minutes to go in the first half. But yeah, Zach, I mean, when you look at it, this year, I think Houston's obviously the favorite. I think Memphis will be second. We'll pick second in the preseason. But when you look at the Memphis women's side of things, I think they finished third, fourth last year. And I think they're looking right in the second, third range again this year.
I was going to say, these Lady Tigers are going to be dangerous. These Lady Tigers are going to be dangerous.
Oh, yeah. You gotta let her continue to build. This is only her second season. So, I mean, last year was her first year. She's just now getting really her feet wet. Let her continue to recruit. Let her continue. You got the transfer portal now, too. Stop it. Let Merriweather cook, as the fans like to say with Russell Wilson. But just let her cook.
Let's not go there.
Yeah.
I know. There's somebody. So, real and again, squirrels happen on our shows, Wes.
All the time.
Somebody very close to me is a big Denver Bronco fan, and I give her all kinds of shit about Russell Wilson.
No doubt. But yeah, Lady Tigers are home on Thursday night, 2 nights from tonight against North Carolina Central. That tip is 7 p.m. Coverage on ESPN Plus. And if you're in the Memphis area, you can listen to it on 98.9, The Roar of Memphis, with Tyler Springs on the call. Tyler does a great job on those calls. And if you're in the Memphis area, they are right back home on Saturday against Middle Tennessee State University, which would be a nice matchup there as well. So get out and support your Lady Tigers. This basketball team is fighting hard. Trina Merriweather is building a winning culture there at El Marone Fieldhouse, and you really need to get out and support this team. So get out and watch them. Zach, you want to take a quick break and we come back, dive into some football talk. Man, that is probably my favorite blues song that we play right there. I love that song. Nothing but blues here on the Point Podcast. Also, speaking of blues, got to give a shout out to Memphis rap icon Lil White for our theme song, Give 'Em the Blues. There is no better song to talk about Memphis as a whole than Give 'Em the Blues. Listen to the lyrics. It is perfect. So, got to give a shout out to Lil White for the theme song. We appreciate you, my guy. So, Memphis Tiger football talk is here. It's been a hot topic all season. There's been erratic idiots calling for Ryan Silverfield's head since the first loss of the year to Mississippi State. And now we make a bowl game, 6-6 on the season. Obviously, it's not where Memphis football wants to be. Ryan Silverfield talked about that last year. He's talked about it this year all season. We're still rehashing the fact that people still want other coaches hired. Memphis has already come out and said, Larry Beach came out on the radio. He sent a letter to all the Memphis fans and said, look, Silverfield's our coach. Let's get out and support this guy. Let's get out and support this team. They're going to their 9th consecutive bowl game. 9th. 9. That ranks 9th in the nation for longest active streaks. I'll say it one more time. I've been saying it all season. And now's my chance because we made it. 9th consecutive bowl game. 9th in the nation. No other group of 5 school has done this. None. Nobody. And you want a man fired. Why? Explain it to me. Don't tell me he's 6-6. Don't tell me, oh, we've lost. I don't care.
I can answer that question for you, Wes.
They call it mediocrity. That's what they say. Oh, we're tired of mediocrity. Well,
no,
guess what? This football program was mediocre for years, and none of you fans that are running your freaking mouth now were even supporting the program then to say anything about it.
It's also called instant gratification.
Yes.
They want to win. They want to win right now. And when they don't, they want a coach fired. But here's the problem, okay? And we see this all across college football. You've got coaches that are, excuse me, you've got coaches that are less than 5 years in, and they're already trying to get people fired. Yes. Why? You're not giving coaches. Now, okay, Silverfield's been there for a while.
3 years.
Okay, he's, again, been there 3 years. He doesn't even have a full recruiting class under him yet, probably.
So, speaking of recruiting, I'm actually glad you brought that up. Currently, and I know everybody's like, oh, you can't go by the recruiting rankings. That don't even make no sense. Don't even go by it. It's all slanted. And part of it is. I'm not sure of that.
Okay, so the star system is outdated, yes.
Correct. But if you go to Rivals and you look at Memphis right now, they're ranked 45th in the nation recruiting class. That would mean that Ryan Silverfield, for the 3rd season in a row, has had the highest recruiting class Memphis football has ever seen. The hero, Mike Norvell, never did it. The highest he ever had was 63rd. Justin Fuente never did it. Highest he had was like 58. Or I could have those two mixed up or flip-flop. Point is, you talk about a man who you want fired, but the man is selling the program. Kids are buying in. He's walking into homes of parents and saying, I want your son to be a part of my family, my football family. And he treats them like trust me, he treats those kids with respect. Silverfield has not lost the locker room. I'm going to squash that BS right now. Now, yes, the portal is affecting the program, Zach. It's affecting everybody. We lost Rodriguez Clark. I tweeted that out last night from our page. Tagged the transfer portal. Now they got him in. Prior to that, he was not technically in, I don't guess. I guess he had applied his paperwork, so yes.
All right, so I'm going to ask a question, Wes, regarding the transfer portal, because
Sure.
as a Razorback fan, there is a certain player, we won't name names, Malik Hornsby, that has entered the transfer portal more times than I can count in one season.
Very similar to JT Daniels. This is his third time to enter the portal in a row.
But where's he at now?
Right now he's in the portal.
But where was he? I mean, where's
Oh.
I mean,
where was he? He was at West Virginia.
Okay. This certain player has entered the portal 4 different times by my count in the same season, but is still with the same university.
So the way the portal works is you can enter, and before a certain amount of time, you can withdraw.
My whole
with
thing
the portal
is,
only being open for 60 days this time, which is very similar to the NFL free agency.
Mm-hmm.
With the portal only be open 60 days, in my opinion. I mean, I've talked to people around the media world, around the college football world. Tony Siracusa, for example, I believe made this exact statement the other day. You're going to see an influx. I believe he made this statement on our show.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see an influx at the beginning because everybody's trying to jump in. You're going to see a lull out a little bit, and then towards the end, you're going to see a lot more people jump in. You got some guys that are jumping in the portal to legitimately flip to another team. You've got some guys that are getting into the portal that are doing it for this reason. Because if you get in the portal and you're just getting offers from other programs, you can go back to your program and say, hey, I got these offers. Sorry, let me rephrase that. You can go back to your NIL program and say, hey, I got these offers. Players are smart. Players are going to use the portal to their advantage, as they should. Not saying they shouldn't. Hell, if I was as athletic as they were, I would probably be doing the same thing if I had the opportunity. But a lot of these guys are dipping. They're just dipping in the portal, seeing what they can get, and they're dipping right back out. Over 1,000 players in a day, Zach? There's obviously all those players are not going to stay in. Some will. A lot will, I think.
Well, it's like you and I've talked about throughout the season, and MC and I've talked about it over on ITHP. This portal thing and the opting out and the NIL deals, it's changed the landscape of college football as a whole, and it's going to continue to change it until it is regulated to, I'm not going to say necessarily be fair, but where it's regulated enough to balance, to have a balance of power across the board, not just in the Power Five, but across the NCAA period. I think
it needs and what it's already started to get.
Well, here's what you're looking at fixing to happen, and I'm going to go ahead and say this going out on a limb. You're starting to see the dissolution of the NCAA as a legislative body across collegiate athletics.
Yes, it's coming. It's coming. The NCAA will not be over college football, I don't think, in the next 5 years. I think college football is going to step away. Because think about it, Zach. I can tell you right now, in the SEC, once Texas and Oklahoma come over, guess what?
You just took the word right out of my mouth.
The whole will make more money than the entire NCAA does. Which means they have
the legislative body of what we now know as the NCAA will now fall on the conferences themselves. The SEC being the primary one, and then you've got it.
So what will happen is they will nominate a board, they will nominate a president, they will nominate the whole.
You'll have something similar to college football playoff committee.
Yeah, well, it's going to be set up just like the NFL. You're going to have a commissioner that's over everything. You're going to have, it's going to be the NFL just in college. Instead of having two divisions, two conferences.
College football. this is what I've called it before. The college football landscape as a whole has now become the equivalent of with the NIL deal and all this stuff has now become what I like to call the NFL developmental league.
Correct.
It's the minor league. It's the minor league of the NFL.
Yes, no doubt. No doubt. You are listening to the Point Podcast here on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. I'm your host, Wes Pruitt. Zach Kerr, the other voice here in the background, is the executive producer. He's in the background hitting all the buttons, making everything look good on the screen. We thank you to everybody watching and listening. Also, got to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Germantown Village Wine and Liquor. Go by and see them, 7730 Poplar Avenue there in beautiful Germantown, Tennessee. Go by and see Stephen Plunk and company. Let them know that 4-Star Sports Media and the Point Podcast sent you by, and you very well may get you a little bitty deal on some single barrel whiskeys you can only get at their location. Now they've got a second location. I'll get you the information on that one coming up. It's a beautiful location. I've seen pictures of the inside. It is very, very nice. But we are talking Tiger football here on the Point Podcast to close out the show tonight. The Memphis Tiger football team is heading to Dallas, Texas, to play in the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl, which I think is very cool. Tigers have never played in this bowl. It's a first for Memphis. I am a big first responder supporter, so I am very excited about the Tigers getting a chance to play in this. As I mentioned, it is the 9th straight year the Tigers have made a bowl game. It's the 9th longest streak in the nation. And it's best among all non-Power 5 programs. As I mentioned, the Tigers will take on Utah State Tuesday, December 27th, 2:15 p.m. Kip. And it's on ESPN. Utah State comes in 6-6, winners of 5 out of their last 6. And they are 5-3 in the Mountain West Conference. The Aggies defeated 3 bowl teams this year, knocking out Air Force, knocking out San Jose State, and knocking out a surprising UConn team, coached by Jim Moore. So shout out to Jim Moore and UConn too. This is the 10th bowl appearance for Utah State in the last 12 years. They are coached by a very familiar name, Blake Anderson. Most will remember him from his time at Arkansas State there in Jonesboro, Arkansas. The Tiger fans will definitely remember him by his time at Arkansas State.
Hey, real quick, Wes. Two things. He is also the next head coach of the Auburn Tigers in about 5 years, because that seems to be a pipeline for Auburn is Arkansas State head coaches. Their last 3 have been head coaches at Arkansas State. But, you were talking about the First Responder Bowl. This one's going to be kind of close to me as well, because I am also a former first responder myself. So I am very grateful for this bowl game and a very big proponent of them as well. So, and I will say this live on this show, and this will probably be the only time I say it, because we will have a studio divided coming up in a couple of years, but I will go ahead and say it. Go Tigers, go beat Utah State.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. This will make the 8th meeting all time between these two programs, Memphis and Utah State, and the boys in blue. The Tigers lead the overall series 4-3. And just to give you a little bit of background information on the Serve Pro First Responders Bowl, it began play in the 2010 season. That was the inaugural season. It in first responders include police officers, firefighters, EMS workers, correction officers, serve and rescue officers, dispatchers, security guards, federal agents, border patrol agents, military personnel of specialized training, and that are the first to arrive and provide assistance at the scene of the emergency. In 2018, the game was officially renamed the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl to reflect the efforts to show appreciation to first responders, and tickets for first responders are underwritten by corporate partners. Just to give you a little bit of background on the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl, December 27th, 2:15 kickoff. Memphis and Utah State meeting for the 8th time in their history.
I have to give 2 shout-outs to a couple of first responders myself. Most people don't know here on the Point. I was in a major rollover accident 2 weeks ago. Huge shout out to the 2 UAMS nurses, the first responders that helped pull me from my Jeep after it had rolled over, landing on its hood. Miss Jennifer and Miss Lindsay of UAMS here in Little Rock. That is the University of Arkansas Medical Sciences Hospital. So trust me when I tell you, first responders play a big, big role and big important points in my life as well. So yes, if you see a first responder, hell, if you see anybody in uniform, period, military or otherwise, go up, shake their hand, buy them a coat, buy them a sandwich, show your appreciation any way you can.
I completely agree, my man. I completely agree. Zach, let's take a quick break, man. When we come back, let's go over Tiger trivia, and then let's wrap this thing up. Here on the 4-Star Sports Media Network, you are listening to the Point Podcast.
Hey fans, did you know that 4-Star Sports Media now has a YouTube channel? You can catch exclusive content covering all things Memphis Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Shows like The Point, and the only show on social media about the Arkansas Razorbacks that is purely fan-driven inside the Hog Pen. Plus other shows like The Hog Trough, The 4-Star Sports Show, and many more coming soon. So check them out today. Go on YouTube.com and search 4-Star Sports Media. Welcome back. It's the Point Podcast, Tuesday, December 6th, 2022 edition. We've talked Tiger football. We've talked Tiger basketball, men's and women's. I'll give my final thoughts to the Tiger Nation here shortly, but Zach, it's time to go over the 3 trivia questions, man.
Woohoo! Let's see how dumb I am when it comes to Memphis Tiger sports.
Well, there's actually a second little short segment before I get my final thought too. But we'll get to that right after I give these answers.
Let me cue these up. Hang on a second because you threw me for a loop.
Aye.
Hang on. There we go.
Love it. There it is. There's that music. Yep, when you hear that music, you know what that means? Nope. Doesn't mean the show's over. It means it's Tiger Trivia time. So, Tiger Trivia, tonight we gave you 3 questions at the beginning of the show. We're going to give you 3 answers at the end like we always do. Question number 1, and let me make sure I got these 3 correct here. Question number 1. I know this was the first one. When did Memphis and Utah State meet in football last? That answer is 1977.
I was about 30 years off on that one.
You were close, man. You were in the ball.
I was not. Don't boost my ego like that. What the hell's wrong with you, man?
It's all right. Question number 2. Before last Saturday, when Memphis played South Carolina Memphis women's basketball played South Carolina. When was the last time they played? That would have been the 1992-1993 season.
Way off on that one too. I said
South Carolina won that game in. Yep. South Carolina won that game in overtime. Zach, did you know that Memphis and South Carolina used to be in the same conference?
No, I did not actually.
Yep. The old Great Midwest Conference back in the day had Memphis.
A long time ago.
Florida State was in that conference as well. It was a nice conference.
That had to have been before. That had to have been before the creation of the ACC.
No, I actually think the ACC was around at that point in time. I believe. I'll do a little research on that. I believe so. All right, question number 3. What is the Memphis men's basketball record in non-conference home games under Penny Hardaway? Been in Memphis 5 years, and in those 5 years, he is 27-3 at the FedEx Forum. Zach, that's a dang impressive record.
That is a very good record for non-conference.
It is. Zach, Zach, we've talked a little men's hoops. We talked a little ladies hoops. Talked a little Tiger football tonight. So before I get to my final thought, let me ask you, my man, what have you learned today?
I don't want to answer that because holy crap, I learned a lot. But then again,
as far as the show is concerned,
I will learn. I will tell you this: I have learned I am way out of practice doing what I do on this side of the screen. You are
a little rusty, huh?
A little bit. No, I learned a lot though. I mean, this is it's kind of fun learning about different teams and stuff because like I said, most of my knowledge comes from the Arkansas Razorbacks. I've been covering them since 1998, since I was probably 13, 14 years old. And branching out, getting to learn about Memphis, the University of Memphis, and visiting the campus. And I will be there in a couple of weeks. Me and someone special that most people will remember will be there for the Arkansas Bowl game at the Liberty Bowl. This is my second trip to the Liberty Bowl. Last time I was in the city of Memphis was 2016.
Ooh, that was cold.
Oh my God, I'm coming prepared this time.
Yeah,
I am
check the weather now.
I've already
Thursday, and it's not going to be the same.
I've already discussed it with my date that I'm taking, and I'm ordering a heated jacket before I go. They're about $100 on Amazon, so you better believe I'm going to order one.
Is that one of them that you just like hit the button?
You hit the button and it warms you up. Oh yeah, I'm definitely buying one of them bad boys. I am not afraid. Do not make fun of me because I am going to be warm that game. But no, and like I said, getting to learn about different fan bases and how they are versus how Arkansas is a lot of fun.
It's funny, man, because I mean, obviously growing up a Memphis fan, I thought that was it. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought that's how everybody was. I thought that's just, and then coming up here, obviously I live in Northwest Arkansas now. Hey, it's different, man. And it's kind of flip flop for you and I. I mean, you're coming from an Arkansas perspective. I'm coming from a Memphis perspective.
Right.
But I mean, when it comes to this show, and I hope that I do this for everyone. Every show, I want to try to teach somebody something about this program that they didn't know before the last show. And I work my ass off every week. You know this, Zach, to make sure that this show is statistically filled, analytically filled, but it's also historically. because I think in any program to get to where you are today, something happened to get there. There's a history behind it.
100%. Oh yeah. Funny you should say that. When I was in the military, I served majority of my time was at Fort Hood, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the closest college to Fort Hood was the Baylor Bears.
Yeah.
When their new football stadium was built,
mm-hmm.
we spent a lot of time out there, kind of opening up the stadium, getting to hold the flag, what have you. And I started
by the way, San Antonio.
I started learning about the Baylor Bears and their traditions and their history, and that's kind of what drove me to go, okay, so there's more to it than just what I know up on the hill. Now, granted, I will forever die on the hill that the three most dangerous words in all of collegiate athletics are woo pig sooie. I will always die on that hill. Do not, but learning the history, the traditions, and the ways of other collegiate programs is a lot of fun when you have an open mind. And when you do what we do on a day in and day out basis, Wes, and you get to talk to people like Tony, when you get to talk to people like our guest tomorrow night, or not tomorrow night, Thursday night, from a small town in North Carolina, it gives you a little bit more of an appreciation for what you do.
Well, and I mean, at the same time, and I mean, we got to get you to a Memphis game next year for sure. But just getting to learn not only about their fan base, but why their fan base is what they are. I mean, it's people laugh at the Memphis attendance, and I talk about it every week. And I've been told by some people, don't worry about the attendance. The attendance numbers don't matter. It matters to me because that tells me the litmus test of the city. That tells me how the city feels. But now you can go back and you can look at that college game day in 2019 against SMU. That's the most packed I've ever seen that stadium. And I was at the Tennessee game in 1996 when we beat them. So I was at that. So I know how that crowd was. I was also at the game day game. The game day crowd it may not have been bigger, but it was more electric. But guess what? That very week before or 2 weeks prior to that, you know how many people were at that game? Like 20,000.
Yeah, and it, like I said,
it really doesn't. It matters to Memphis who's playing. If they're playing UCLA, everybody's there. If they play UTSA, nobody's. Well, but then when the Tigers lose, it's ain't nobody at the game. That's why, because they suck. No, it's because you won't get your ass off your couch and go out and support the program.
Well, okay, so wait a minute. All right, from an Arkansas fan, and we've got Arkansas fans that actually watch this show or listen to the show.
Right.
In 2018, 2019 was one of the darkest couple of years in Arkansas football. Yeah. We went 4-20 overall. I'm not gonna run down the list of coaches.
I mean, and then on the
I will tell you
that was Memphis's highest point.
But I will tell you this: I was at the majority of those games over those 2 years. I got to experience sections of that stadium that only big donors get to see.
Yeah.
Because it was such a low point that people were giving tickets away. I saw the least amount of people at that game in that stadium against, and I will go ahead and say it, against former Arkansas quarterback Ty Story in Western Kentucky in 2019. It was one of the worst attended games I have ever been to. But again, you have to look at the talent on the field. If you go 2-10 in 2 seasons, they're not going to show up. Why would you spend $60, $70, $80 on a ticket, not to mention another $100, $200 just to travel up there for those that are not in the Northwest Arkansas area for a team to get blown out by a mid-major conference team by 40 points?
Right. I agree completely. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Memphis Tiger baseball cranks up in February. So be looking forward to that. We're going to be bringing you coverage from them as well. Be adding them to this show. Hopefully be adding coaches, players, things of that nature as well. Also, softball gets cranked up in February too. Tiger sports, it's a never-ending cycle, Zach. In this business, there is no off season. It's really crazy. I mean, there's
have to
always
force
something to
you-
talk about it.
I
Especially in the
must
college athletics world.
I must tell the
something to talk
fans though. I must tell the fans though, Wes. I have to force you to take at least 6 weeks off during the summer just so you can recharge and get rested
You
up
do.
because look, when we take about 6 weeks off from the end of baseball to the but we may not be on air all the time, but we are still working behind the scenes to bring you guys the most up-to-date content we possibly can.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's one thing that I think our Twitter page is very under appreciated, to be honest with you. I mean, just to let y'all know, we broke the fact that Arkansas was going to Liberty Bowl and the fact that Memphis was going to Dallas before anybody else.
Yeah, we did.
Not the first time that's happened. Just going to say it now. So,
won't be the last.
well, also, 4-Star Sports Media tweeted last night that Memphis Tiger running back Rodriguez Clark was going into the portal. Rodriguez retweeted that, said, "I appreciate you guys. Thank you for all you do, and that we're very informed." So, when you're looking for a Memphis source of information, look no further than 4-Star Sports Media, because we're bringing it to you. We're bringing it to you raw and uncut. Same thing we do over on the Arkansas side of things as well, with Zach, MC, Christian, and the guys over with Inside the Hog Pen. But Zach, let's get to my final thoughts. Not going to be very long tonight. About ready to wrap this thing up for the evening. But Tiger football is back in a bowl game for the 9th straight year. I want all Memphis Tiger fans, if you can make it, if you can make the trip to Dallas, make that trip across. You can stop at Buc-ee's on the way there. You can stop at Buc-ee's on the way back. You can get a picture with the little beaver guy both ways. Get out there and go support this football team. Haven't played Utah State since 1977. Another 6-6 team. People call it the Mediocrity Bowl. They're dumbasses. But it's all good. Get out and support this Memphis Tiger football team. Also, Tiger basketball team's up right now big at halftime. Lady Tigers play Thursday night, Saturday night out at El Marone Fieldhouse. Get out and support your Tiger football. Get out and support your Tiger athletics. Go Tigers as always. I'm your host, Wes Pruitt. You've been watching and listening to the Point Podcast inside the Germantown Village Wine and Liquor Studio. Go by and see them, 7730 Poplar Avenue. Give them a call, 901-737-3370. I don't think it's the right number, but anyway, go Tigers. We are out. We'll be back next Tuesday.
Barbecue and soul food. We got rules though. When you come through, don't fool with us. We done told you we struggle daily. Crime rate is crazy. Get wrong when things you don't do.